Daf Nun Vav. We'll start with Daf Nun Hey Amid Beis, the last two lines. Tana Rabbana. So we're talking about Chil Mos Meiser Sheni. You have Mos Meiser Sheni, and now you want to be machal them onto something else, and you're only allowed to be machal them onto something that's edible. Ein lochim behema b'mos Meiser Sheni. You cannot use Mos Meiser Sheni that have the Kiddushin of Meiser Sheni and transfer the Kedusha over to a behema chutz l'Yushalayim, because the obligation of Mos Meiser Sheni, as the Torah states it in Parshas Re'eh, v'nasato b'kesef v'tzarto ha'kesef b'yadecha v'alachta l'makom asher yivcha Hashem Elokecha bo, that dafka with kesef that has tzura yala Yushalayim v'lo dvarim acherim. But what happens b'di'evet if he already did so? And that's the sugya here on Daf Nun Vav Omid Aleph. V'im lokach, if he purchased a behema with Mos Meiser Sheni outside of Yushalayim, if it was b'shogeg, then we have an issue of what's called mekach tos. And therefore, if he was not aware of the fact that these were Mos Meiser Sheni, mistakenly thought that they were Mos Meiser Chulin, Yachzeru Domim L'Makomo, we're going to force the mocher to return the mos, and we're going to return the behema back to the mocher, as if the sale never took place. And that's called mekach tos, because if the purchaser would have known that the mos that he was giving to the seller were Mos Meiser Sheni, he never would have purchased the behema chutz l'Yushalayim, because he's not allowed to do so. He's got to take the Mos Meiser Sheni up to Yushalayim. B'mezid. However, if the lokeach realized that he was paying for this behema that he was purchasing with Mos Meiser Sheni chutz Yushalayim, talev v'teyochel b'makom, then there's no mekach tos. It was done b'mezid. He was at full knowledge of the fact that the mos were Meiser Sheni, and therefore b'di'eved the mekach is chal. We cannot undermine the mekach, and now the kedusha of the Meiser Sheni was transferred from the mos onto the behema, and therefore the lokeach has to take the behema up to Yerushalayim and eat it in Yerushalayim. However, Rabbi Yehuda is going to make two very important stipulations, or shall we say conditions. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, when do we say that b'di'evet? If the mekach was done b'mezid, and the lokeach was well aware of the fact that the mos were Mos Meiser Sheni, the mekach is chal, and the behema has to be brought to Yerushalayim. That's only b'miskaven v'lokach mitchil l'shem shlomim. Now, in order to understand what it means in this context, l'shem shlomim, we quote, as Rashi does, a sugya menachos daf pei beis, with a gzeir shav sham sham. In Shlomim, it says in Dvarim Perek of Zayin, v'zavachta Shlomim v'chalta sham. And in Meiser Sheni, earlier in Sefer Dvarim in Perek Yudal in Parshas Re'eh, it says v'chalta sham lifnei Hashem Elokecha. And therefore, the halacha is that you take the behema for the purpose of a carbon Shlomim. That's how you eat it as Meiser Sheni b'Yushalayim. And that's why we once discussed, if you find an animal that left Yushalayim, the question is, do you assume it's a carbon that was purchased with Mos Meiser Sheni, etc., etc.? So behemos that are purchased with Mos Meiser Sheni are brought as shlomim on the Mizbeach. And that's exactly what his kavanah was. As Mos Meiser Sheni l'chulin, if his intention was to not treat the animal as if it were shlomim, but rather to eat the animal, after he shechs it, of course, as if it were chulin gemurin, chutz Yerushalayim, then we're going to have something called a knas. Bein b'shogeg. Okay, shogeg is not a case of knas. That's going to be a case of of Mekachtos, where let's say they weren't aware of the fact that these modes were most Meiser Sheni. Bein b'mezid. Oh, here's the Chiddush of Rabbi Yehuda. That if they knew that these modes were most Meiser Sheni, so that means the buyer, the Lokeach, understood very well that he was illegally buying an animal with most Meiser Sheni, and he wanted to be Machal the Kedusha Meiser Sheni onto his behema, but eat the behema Chutz Yerushalayim. And the Mocher apparently also was aware of the fact that the most of Meiser Sheni, and he had Kavana. In these cases, Yachzu Domim L'Mkomon. So again, if it's Shogeg, we understand Yachzu L'Mkomon because that's a Mekachtos. And because they didn't know, the buyer didn't know that he was purchasing a behema with most Meiser Sheni. But in the case of Mezid, here we're going to impose a knas because he had no intention of taking the behema up to Shalayim and eating it as a korban shlamim. And therefore, as a result of the knas, we're going to say that he should not benefit from this mekach at all. And Yoda, he knew that the most were most Meiser Sheni, and yet he went ahead and he used it for a sale. So let's talk about the mocher for a moment. The mocher deliberately accepted most Meiser Sheni for his behema. He knew full well that these most that he was receiving as purchase money were most Meiser Sheni. We don't want him to benefit at all from the most Meiser Sheni, and therefore Yachzu Damim L'Mkomo. He's got to return the Damim back to the Lokeach rather than benefit from them. And later on, the Gemara is going to discuss why is the Mocher more responsible and worthy of a knas than the Lokeach. I mean, the Lokeach understood full well that he was using most Meiser Sheni to purchase a behema. So we'll get to that later. Oh. Do you know how to put my picture a little bit more prominent on the screen? All right.
Click on it.
I did.
And click on the 3 dots.
Oh, I see.
No.
Yeah. Okay. It doesn't matter.
Let me try.
It's just because I used it to Zoom my class this morning. Everything got switched. Everything got changed.
On the top right, it says view.
View. Oh, I touched view. I pressed on
view. Oh, that view.
And yet it didn't help me. It said I touched view and then
full screen. No. Touch view and then go to full screen. Go to full screen.
I see. I pressed on speaker. My mistake. Okay.
Maybe the rabbi can help you for tomorrow, how you could have this and that.
All right.
This you can make bigger also if you need it bigger. It's still bigger than it was before.
Yeah, but it doesn't look at all as it usually looks. Okay, I don't want to waste that time. We're under tremendous pressure. I'm a daf behind. But thanks for helping me at least to some extent. Okay. Fine. Frek the Gemara, Vanan Tnan, Rabbi Yehuda made this distinction in the Brisa, and yet we have a Mishnah back on Daf Nun Beis Amid Beis. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, if a man was Makadish and Isha with Mos Meiser Sheni, and he did it b'mezid, knowing full well that he was giving her Mos Meiser Sheni for Kiddushin, Kiddush, the Kiddushin is Chal. Even though clearly the Makadish was amazing, he knew full well that he was giving Mos Meiser Sheni that were going to be Yotzei L'Chulin, There's no toast by Kiddushin. And why did the Chacham say that we should be Mavatal the Kiddushin, Mishum Knas, the same way that we were Mavatal a Mecher, Mishum Knas, that the Mocher should not benefit from receiving Mo and being Nene from Mos Ma'aser Sheni and being Mechal the Kedusha of Ma'aser Sheni. And the Gemara answers, Amar Rabbi Lazar, Ishi Odasha Ein Mos Ma'aser Sheni Mischal and Yoda. She knows very well that by receiving Mos Ma'aser Sheni, the Mos are not Yotzi L'chulin. She understands very well that she needs to take these Mos up to Yerushalayim and eat them in Yerushalayim. V'ola v'ochla b'Yerushalayim. That's exactly what she's going to do. So she never had any kavanah to be motzi them l'chulin, and therefore she's not worthy of a knas. But in our case, in the brisa of which was interpreted by Rabbi Yehuda meaning in Amora Rabbi Yehuda, where the mocher knew very well that the most were mischalos al behema. And therefore, the behema is miskadeshes b'kedushas ma'aser sheni, because the kedusha of the ma'aser sheni on the most of the lokach is now transferred over to the behema, and yet he has no problem with receiving most ma'aser sheni for his behema, which is now going to be a chilul of most ma'aser sheni. And even though at the end of the day, the one who's really going to violate the Kedushas Ma'aser Sheni is the Lokeach. But nevertheless, the Mocher is violating what we call if they evil osite michshel. And that's why he's worthy of a Knas. So now it comes out from the Gemara's answer that if a person knows that most Ma'aser Sheni are not mischalin in a certain scenario, and then nevertheless he goes ahead and he purchases or he was Makadosh and Isha, then the Mekach is Chal, the Kiddushin is Chal, and we're not worried about a Michshol because he realizes that it's going to have to be taken up to Yerushalayim. In fact, the Gemara Maskif La Rav Yirmiyah, Varei Behema Tmeya, Avodim Karkos, none of the above are Ochlin, the Adam Yodeh Shein Mos, Ma'aser Sheni Mischal Alehem, there's no, it's at least l'chatchila, we'll see about P'diavad, but l'chatchila, you're not allowed to be mechalel, most ma'aser sheni onto things that are not roy lachila, like behemet tmeya, avodim, karkos. Is according to Rabbi Lazar, in such a case, let's say the mocher received most of ma'aser sheni with the intention of taking them up to Yerushalayim and eating whatever he eats, let's say, Bein Mishlamim in Yerushalayim, Utran, and the Mishnah in Masechet Ma'aser Sheni in the first parak says that Ein Lochim Bein Tmeya Avodim V'Karkos B'Mos Ma'aser Sheni Afilu B'Yerushalayim, because again, as we said before, you can't be Mechal Mos on something that's not Roy Lachila. V'im Lokach, he went ahead and he purchased a non-ochel behemet tmeya avodim karkos with mos ma'aser sheni, yochal kenegdam. What's yochal kenegdam? The lokeach has to take mos chulin, different mos, and he has to make a declaration wherever the mos ma'aser sheni are in the hands of the mocher, they should be mechulalos on these mos. And he'll buy food in Yerushalayim with these mos. So we see that even in a situation where the mocher knew very well that the mos that he received have Kedushas Ma'aser Sheni, and therefore we can rely on him to take these mos up to Yerushalayim and eat them b'kedushas ma'aser sheni. Nevertheless, the lokeach has to be mechal mos acheros kenegdam. We're choshesh that the mocher may not actually take these mos up to Yerushalayim, but rather he'll use them chutz Yerushalayim, and that's against everything that we've said until now. In the case of a kadesh b'ma'aser sheni, that the Kiddushin is chal, and the Baal doesn't have to be mafresh other mos ma'aser sheni keneged the mos that he gave to the isha, and we're not choshesh that she will fail to take these mos up to Yerushalayim. Why not? And the Gemara answers, Elahocha, now in Mishnah, we're talking about a case. She's a Malumedes, she knows the halachos, and she understands very well that the most that he gave her for Kiddushin Kiddushin's Masechet, they have to be brought up to Shalayim, to Yada. She knows very well that most Masechet cannot be mischalos through a Maisa Kiddushin, and that she has to bring up these mos to Yerushalayim and eat them there. And that's exactly what she's going to do. There's no knas midrabanan. But stam, in not a case of a chaver, let's say, if he was makadesh b'mos ma'aser sheni, I mean, I'm sorry, if he sells an animal like a bemitmea, vodim v'karkos, in exchange for mos ma'aser sheni, he doesn't know that these mos ma'aser sheni are not mischalos on a bemitmea, and therefore the Rabbanu were mechayiv the lokeach to be mechal kedushas mos kenegdom. Now the Gemara goes back to discuss the issue of someone who purchased a bemitmea avodim v'karkos with mos ma'aser sheni that has to be mechal those mos ma'aser sheni on other mos and use them in Yerushalayim. Amar mar she'im lokach yochal kenegdom. Why not be mevatel the mekach? Ki hasam, like we said in the brisa, when a man buys a behemoth tahora with most ma'aser sheni chutz Yerushalayim, and his kavanah was to be motzi them lechulin b'mezid, we cancel the mocher, imposing a knas, and we're mevatel the mekach. He's got to give back the money and get back his behemoth. Why in the Mishnah he kones him? And the knas is dafka on the lokeach, right? Because he's going to have to be mafresh mos acherus, and he's machal them on the mos. And the Gemara answers, and now we're going to turn to Daf Nun Vav Amud Beis, Amar Shmuel.